Hello, welcome to Levant TV Headlines. An Islamic State group in Libya has released a photo claiming to have executed two journalists from Tunisia, Sofiene Chourabi and Nadhir Ktari. Egypt's election has announced the country will hold a long-awaited parliamentary election in two phases starting on the 22nd to the 23rd of March. US Secretary John Kerry will meet his Iranian counterpart Mohammad Javad Zarif next week in Geneva ahead of a fresh round of nuclear talks. And rebels in South Sudan slaughtered at least 353 civilians in April last year, including people sheltered in a mosque, hospital and United Nations base. And two brothers suspected of slaughtering 12 people in an Islamist attack on French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo have held one person hostage as police concern the gunmen northeast of the capital. And now let's have a look at top headlines in today's papers in the Middle East. The Egypt Independent leads reporting that Danish newspaper Jyllands-Posten, which angered Muslims by publishing cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad 10 years ago, will not republish Charlie Hebdo's cartoons due to security concerns, the only major Danish newspaper not to do so. The paper also reports that Egypt's stock of wheat is for its subsidized bread program will last until the first week of May, well into the start of the local harvest, after it bought 180,000 tons this week. And from Beirut, the Daily Sali is reporting that the Progressive Socialist Party of leader Walid Jumblat was vowed to seal off the road outside the controversial Nami dump on January the 17th, the date set by the government to close the landfill in the Shuf town where Sofiene trucks empty their haul. The paper also reports that although snowstorm Zina has tapered off, a sharp drop in temperature and snowfall at low altitudes has kept many roads across Lebanon blocked and several areas without electricity. From the UAE, the Khalij Times reports that a huge manhunt for two brothers suspected of massacring 12 people in an attack at a satirical French weekly zeroed in on a northern town on Thursday after the discovery of one of the getaway cars. The paper also reports that Egypt will hold a parliamentary election in two phases starting March 22nd, something the government hopes will deliver political and economic stability after nearly 4 years of turmoil. And now the papers here in London. The Guardian leads Middle East News reporting that the prime suspect in the attack on satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo was an active member of a loose network of French militants active for over 2 decades that stretched from Syria to the UK. 32-year-old Sharif Kouachi had been imprisoned for 18 months for his role in a network sending volunteers to fight alongside Al-Qaeda militants in Iraq between 2003 and 2005. The Telegraph leads Middle East reporting that Wednesday marked the first day in 3 years that nobody was reported killed in the fighting in Syria, according to a group that monitors the war. The grim milestone recorded by the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights was attributed to a fierce storm that temporarily limited the fighting, which has devastated Syria's people and its landscape. Also from London, The Independent reports that the father who says he risked his own life to rescue his son from militants in Syria has been returning to the region in a bid to help other families track down European youngsters. Former Belgian soldier Dimitri Bontic claims he undertook a dangerous 10-month journey to find his 19-year-old son Joan Bontic in Syria. And now international headlines. The New York Times reports that Egypt began evacuating hundreds of families from a town bordering the Gaza Strip yesterday after a senior official acknowledged that the military was eradicating the town in order to complete a security zone abutting the Palestinian territory. The military began bulldozing the border town Rafah several months ago as part of a sweeping response to repeated militant attacks on Egyptian security personnel in the Sinai Peninsula. And finally, China's Global Times reports that Iran has started mass production of its independently developed Saik fighter jets. A high-ranking Air Force official was quoted as saying the Saik fighter jets would satisfy the needs of Iran's Air Force for the time being and, quote, it would be altered and modified in line with requirements. For more updates, please visit us on Levant.tv. Thanks for watching and bye for now.